Alrighty, everybody. Hopefully, you're all having a fantastic Wednesday so far. Hopefully, everybody has had a great few days. I haven't been here in quite a little while, about what, 4 days or so. Hopefully, you're all doing well. Let's see, we have in here Rango, Ben, Caleb, Edits, Pete, Dane, Chip, Marcus, Random Guy. And let's see, Evan's weather forecast, and everyone else who's tuning in. If I may have missed you, or if you're just now tuning in, Chris, Lily, welcome to the stream as well. Glad to see you in here. So, yeah, let's go to right ahead and dive on into it. Ready for the glitch? Still haven't fixed this thing. I've tried multiple times. But still haven't figured out how to fix that Streamlabs glitch just yet. So we're going to be talking about the potential for severe weather both tomorrow as well as going into Friday. And then we'll also mention the potential for severe weather. Let me see if I can get these days straight here. Let's see. So we've got what, Monday, I think we're watching for the chance of severe weather. Let me see what the SPC also mentions as well. Yeah, it looks like Monday is probably going to be one of our better risks to pay attention to here. We do have tomorrow. We'll go over all the details and everything, and why Friday may actually end up being a very notable tornado threat in eastern North Carolina. We'll go over all that in just a bit. And yeah, finally, we had a little break of severe weather, right? We are having this little shortwave trough. Positively tilted trough with a negatively tilted shortwave that's deciding to disrupt our nice pattern out here. I don't know about you guys, but for like the last 3-4 days, it has been awesome weather out here in Virginia. I've been outside a lot. So this is the sneaky little thing that's going to go ahead and give us some more cool air. And you can see it's not a potent trough, not a very potent trough here, just a positively tilted trough, a little negatively tilted shortwave embedded in the flow here. And that's going to center over this portion of the U.S. You can see tomorrow's outlook from the SPC here. They have gone ahead and highlighted a slight risk for severe weather from Nashville down through Chattanooga, also into Clarksville, all the way down into the Atlanta, Georgia metro. Gracious. Back down through the Birmingham metro, through Tuscaloosa, back into north central Mississippi, up into Pine Bluff, Little Rock. So, gracious day, Arkansas. I'm sorry, you just can't catch a break. You're under another slight risk for severe weather tomorrow. Really thought we were going to get a good week without any severe weather, but then just out of nowhere, this event decided to pop up And now we've got some issues here that are going to be starting up. So yeah, of course we will be live for tomorrow's event. We'll probably start up in the afternoon hours, probably. Well, we'll see when the peak will be. It may be afternoon or evening. We'll dive into it and figure out when that greatest threat will be, and we'll stream accordingly. But at the moment, the SPC does have a 2% chance for tornadoes tomorrow. I don't really see this being upgraded to a 5%, so I don't want to do a very long live stream tomorrow. It doesn't seem like tomorrow is going to be much of a tornado day. It seems like a very, very large hail day for tomorrow's risk. Probably could even get some large hail events upwards of like 2.5 inch in diameter being possible. But there's going to be like 2 or 3 main regions to watch here inside this 2%. There's an opportunity for some discrete storms out there in Alabama, Georgia in the late afternoon. There's a chance for a more sleeper, higher end tornado threat out here. And then, of course, there's in between those two risks. So there's generally just this entire 2% area we want to be keeping an eye on for the potential of severe weather here for tomorrow. Welcome, Lakeisha, Frankie, severe weather alert. Let's see, Haywood, Rango. Yeah, personally, I don't think they'll put out a 5%, but you never know. Here's the wind risk. We do have a 15% wind risk. On the earlier model runs, like when our HRRR was first getting in range for this event, it did look like we could have a significant QLCS or MCS out in this area. That no longer looks likely at this moment, so that's good news. I think hail is going to be the biggest issue. Matter of fact, I think they'll extend that 15% more off to the southeast to include for that threat of prefrontal. Rather, it's not technically prefrontal, just overall discrete storms going into Alabama and into Georgia. Tomorrow has a lot of issues with tomorrow's severe weather threat. The wind shear is garbage. Right off the bat, it is absolutely garbage. Instability looks to be low for the first couple hours of the day. If I go over here really quick. Yeah, it looks like we're going to have it's just a bad environment. You've got a half-capped low-end instability environment. Some areas have good instability. Most of your open warm sector, if that's what you want to call it, because it's not really that open. It's a very terrible looking warm sector at this moment. Is, like I said, half capped, and if it's not capped, it's a bit low on instability. Your lower level wind shear is pretty much non-existent tomorrow until you get into the overnight hours. Your lower level jet is 30 knots, so I really don't see much of a tornado threat tomorrow until we get to the evening. So we'll probably end up doing an evening live stream. If we change over here to the instability, now you're going to think this looks probably ridiculous. And even on the HRRR, it doesn't even look that good, right? You have this big pocket of really nice instability down here. And then you just have scattered instability back here, good instability here, good instability up here. If we switch to your reflectivity, you can see we may see some of that discrete storm activity here back out in Alabama, Georgia, maybe into Mississippi as well. But it's overall just a slop for severe weather tomorrow. I don't see a really favorable tornado environment. And one thing you may be overlooking, the moisture is garbage. Okay, this is not tornado-like moisture. You are into the 40s, and even some spots may even get into the 30s for dew points there, especially I think in eastern Tennessee. Yeah, you may even get into the 30s as that front gets pretty close to you. Let's see, southeastern Tennessee, 38 dew points here on the HRRR. Gracious day. No, this is actually 31 dew points out here in eastern Tennessee. Nope, 29-degree dew points in eastern Tennessee. That is just not favorable for severe weather at all. It really doesn't matter what your other ingredients are. 29, 30 dew points, man, that ain't going to give you nothing. I'd be surprised if you could get some rain firing in that environment. But it does improve slightly as the overall trough does progress. If we go through here with time, you can see it gets just a slight bit better. You're up to like 40, 45, 48 over here. But it's not all that really favorable for tornadoes or anything that's very significant. So the main area I'm watching tomorrow, there's really two areas. So the first area is in the afternoon hours. We may or may not go live for that. Just depends on how significant it may be. But right when those storms first fire, we could get some very, very large hail out of them. Extremely large hail out of them, just because of the cool temperatures aloft. But your dew points, like I said, I mean, you are in the low 50 dew points and you are in the mid to high 70s. So these things are going to be more elevated than the word elevated. They are going to be very elevated thunderstorms out here in the afternoon hours, but could still produce a brief tornado. Then as we go into the evening hours, once these storms get more into Mississippi, Alabama, southern Tennessee, that's probably when we're going to start, our live stream up sometime tomorrow. And that's going to allow for those temperatures to decrease a little bit, as we've previously mentioned before in other live streams. So your temperatures come down a little bit. Your dew points are not as terrible. They actually start to improve just a little bit in the evening hours, possibly getting up into the very, very low 60s, closer towards the 6, 7 o'clock Eastern time frame, maybe a little bit after that. And then they could become some very big hailers still, and maybe a brief tornado risk. I mean, I really don't see much of a tornado threat for tomorrow. I just don't see it personally. I really don't think we will see many tornadic thunderstorms for tomorrow. Let's check the NAM here. What? Oh, hold on, that's my dumb phone going off. Yeah, but I don't see the need for an enhanced risk for hail either. There is a chance, though, if the SBC gets enough confidence for those storms to fire towards like 4 o'clock, I could see an enhanced risk being issued, but that's if their confidence is high enough in hailers here, which I doubt it. Trying to pull a Soundy here off of the NAM. So yeah, this is a crazy look for hail. Dew points are a little bleh for tornado wise. Like, this is not a good sounding for tornadoes, but for hail, my goodness, that is ridiculous, changing temperatures with height. Yeah, look at those lapse rates. Gracious day, 9.5 kilometer lapse rates there in the lower levels, rather 9.5 Celsius, my bad. 9.5 Celsius in the surface to 3 kilometer levels of the atmosphere. Just absolutely insane for hail growth there. And yeah, you could see a good amount of dry air towards the mid and upper levels. That is awesome for large hail. Hail loves that dry air towards the mid and upper levels. This doesn't have much of a cap with it. Yeah, there's no capping inversion. You see nothing on your temperatures. They just go straight up like this. So they're cooling very significantly with height, especially those first 3 kilometers from here to here. I mean, my goodness. That sharp of lapse rates mixed in with the almost 2,000 instability, you could be looking at some very, very huge hailers out here going into northwestern Tennessee, southeastern Boot Hill, Missouri, like right in here. Definitely could see some extremely large hailers, and I think that's what the NAM 3K has, the newest NAM 3K. Let's see what this has. Yeah, so you can see those hailers grow upscale very quickly. Within an hour, they are growing upscale very quickly there. Northeastern Arkansas, western Tennessee, moving into northern Mississippi, northern Alabama. Huge, huge hailers there. and very fast moving too. I mean, these waste no time whatsoever getting through the risk area. I mean, I wonder how fast these are moving. They are probably, I mean, they've got to be moving at, on the NAM model, at least like 60, 70 miles per hour here, because they go from southwest Tennessee near Memphis all the way to Florence in the matter of 1 hour. And that is, yeah, that's like 90 miles right there. 80, 90 miles. So these things are hauling. They are hauling on the NAM 3K model run here. Very fast moving hailstones, most likely. And just fast moving storms as a whole. And then going into the overnight hours, the threat starts to die down on the NAM model. However, the HRRR does disagree. The HRRR keeps that hail threat going all the way till, what is this, like 2 a.m. or so before storms fully die out. Whereas the NAM has the threat being very low after 11 p.m. So we'll keep an eye on that. Figure out when this threat may end as well. But I do see tomorrow being a absolutely wild day for some large hail. And the SPC may end up including an enhanced risk for hail, maybe a 30 sig hail risk. But that just depends solely off of storm coverage and confidence in storms firing and how many of them as well. All right, let's go over to our day 3 outlook now from the Storm Prediction Center. So we do have a marginal risk for severe weather from the SPC all the way from Virginia Beach, southeast Virginia, all the way back out into central North Carolina, southwestern South Carolina. There's quite a few different ways this could go here. Right now, the SPC is mentioning an upgrade to slight risk being needed in future outlooks if confidence does increase in instability and less cloud cover. But there's just a lot of uncertainty on exactly how much instability we may be able to see out here. Either way, though, if we go and pull this forward on the NAM model, very, very interesting setup. So you've got a low pressure back out here near the Charlotte, North Carolina area. And a not very well tight surface low either. It's not a very well organized low. It's a very broad low looking at the NAM model. So you can see it. It's all in here. Very, very broad low pressure in southwest North Carolina. Yeah, northwest South Carolina there. And that could allow for a little cold core tornado setup here. This is 3 p.m. Possibly some cold core tornadoes near the Charlotte metro here in southwestern North Carolina being a possibility. And both the HRRR and the NAM3K agree on this scenario. But something that's vastly different between the models is what happens in eastern North Carolina. So the NAM3K at 2 p.m. here, 1 to 2 p.m., it does have a pretty notable tornado threat in North Carolina, South Carolina, but it's quite messy, as you can see. So it has really quite potent ingredients for severe weather, especially in the terms of, wind shear? Yeah, your lower level wind shear is like almost 400. Yeah, almost 400 helicity, with your 0 to 3 kilometer wind shear being almost 700. So it has a ridiculous amount of wind shear and pretty good instability, but it grows upscale very, very quickly, and it just ends up being more of a damaging wind spin-up tornado threat. So it doesn't do a whole lot there in eastern North Carolina. The HRRR, it doesn't go out as far, but I can already tell you the HRRR is significantly weaker with mid-level and especially lower level wind shear. The HRRR is also about 500 to maybe even 800 instability lower than the NAM 3K. So there's a lot of disagreement on exactly how high end this threat may be in North Carolina, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that marginal expand back up into more of Western NC, more into South Central Virginia, and then possibly even a slight risk being added either for the cold core setup out here or for just the overall normal, warm core severe threat for all hazards back out in this area. But either way, I'll be monitoring it closely. There is a bit of an issue because I've made plans on Friday. So the only way I'm going to cancel those plans is if this is a 5% tornado risk for the cold core setup in Central NC. If you don't know what that means, long story short, the threat for very photogenic, slow-moving tornadoes in Central North Carolina, which is an opportunity that you don't get but once every 5+ years here in North Carolina. So I highly doubt this scenario will actually happen. And another way is that we go 10 sig tour. Those are the only two ways that I'm going to cancel my plans and chase on Friday. Because Eastern NC is a good solid 4 hours away, 3 to 4 hours away. I could get to Wilmington in about 3.5, 4 hours or so. So I'm not going to go there if there's, a 2% tour, right? It's going to have to be a pretty dang good chance in order for me to chase on Friday. And I just don't see either one of those happening. We may end up going 5% for this very sloppy embedded threat, but I'm not going 4 hours just to see another messy, heavy rain and barely any rotation and 40-mile-an-hour wind gust line. I've already intercepted 4 of those this year in the last month, so I'm good. I'm good. But if this does happen, I will. I mean, as bad as it does sound, I will cancel my plans in a heartbeat to be out here in Greensboro. Afternoon threats for photogenic 20-mile-per-hour moving tornadoes. I would not miss that for anything. And you can see the lower level jet is definitely lacking out here for sure. So the ingredients are not very high by any means, but definitely a solid opportunity for a cold core setup for tornadoes out here. You can see really good instability there. So, yeah, and also the NAM 12Z. So we were just looking at the 18Z. Here's the 12Z NAM. This shows, oh my goodness, that is supposed to be reflectivity. This shows a more of a 5% risk, possibly even a 10 sig tour for Eastern NC being possible. So this actually turns into more of fast-moving supercells here in southeastern NC, and these would be able to produce strong tornadoes, by the way. So not something I mentioned much in eastern NC. However, I think that's a very unrealistic scenario. Personally, I think we'll see something in the middle where we end up with a low-wind cold core setup and a messy spin-up tornado threat in eastern NC. So I'm not very worried about it at the moment, but I would definitely keep my eye on it. If you live anywhere in this region here in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, this is a threat worth watching, especially if you are a storm chaser. You definitely want to keep a very close eye on it because, like I said, we have that opportunity for slow-moving, brief spin-up photogenic tornadoes in central NC. So definitely going to keep an eye on this. For sure. If you are, very concerned or have, severe storm anxiety out here, just make sure you're weather aware. This doesn't look like a high-end threat for severe weather. It looks more of a damaging wind threat. I would say small hail, but man, it's difficult to get small hail out here in North Carolina. It's pretty difficult unless you get a good, solid storm like what Lucky got over there in Greensboro. That one storm chase he did, I think 3-inch hail. My word, I haven't seen that in a while in central NC. So that's pretty rare. He intercepted a pretty rare supercell there. But yeah, I think this will end up being another messy, sloppy, damaging wind threat and maybe brief spin up tornado threat. So if you're very concerned about this, I wouldn't be too concerned. Just keep an eye on it. Like I said, if you do have severe storm anxiety or if you're just worried about the weather overall, just make sure you have a weather radio. make sure you have your phone has alerts on, make sure your phone's charged, and then just stay weather-aware. Stay tuned to your local news, your National Weather Service. You'll be perfectly fine. Just making sure you're weather-aware is a big, big, big ordeal. You can just hide that person right away. There we go. Perfect. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and report that for impersonation. Report user. Impersonating me and hide user. There you go. Congratulations. You got yourself reported. Good job. Good for you. Anyways, moving on. Let's go over to our model runs now on, this scene. There we go. So let's go over to the GFS. Just some random troll mark impersonating me. Actually, like the 6th time this has happened, which is kind of crazy. So this is our quite large positively tilted trough that's going to be causing severe weather out here on Thursday. And you can see that tiny little kink? That tiny little kink right there. This little kink that is a negative to neutral tilt shortwave. That's what's going to cause our severe weather threat. If we didn't have that tiny little kink, we wouldn't see much of a severe weather threat out here in the central and southeastern U.S. on Thursday, but we do. So we have the opportunity for some severe weather out there. Specifically, like we mentioned before, like right out in this region. Right in there. And if we look at the lower level jet, you'll see it's not the best. Right, it's not the best at all. This is in the afternoon, and you've got a 10 knot lower level jet. For anybody who's not, who doesn't know what this is just simply the jet stream in the lowest levels of the atmosphere. It really, really is very, very important for a tornado threat, and especially strong tornadoes. Typically, we look for a lower level jet that is greater than 35 knots, and you've got 10 to 20 out here in Mississippi and Alabama. Now, watch as that jet stream does increase through the evening hours. You do get up a little bit. You get closer to that 35 knot mark. However, if we zoom into this and look at CAPE, you can see not a great amount of CAPE. It's also capped. Take a look at dew points, and your dew points are also not the best, with temperatures actually falling. So if there were, well, there you go. If there was the opportunity for some discrete storms in here, maybe we could see a spin-up tornado, and that is why we have the 2% tornado risk. But you can see just minimal wind shear, 100 to 150. So I really don't think we're going to see much more just than a 2% tornado risk. But again, it wouldn't surprise me. Either the SPC is going to either go 30 sig hail, or they may just go 15 sig hail. Right now they're at 15%. They'll probably just end up upgrading that to a 15 sig hail tomorrow instead of actually doing a enhanced risk. And then on Friday, I want you to take note here. Look at that jet stream. That is not a bad jet stream here over eastern NC. Actually, some defluence aloft right in that small little area, right exit region of the trough. Tiniest little area of defluence there. And actually a decent low pressure, which if we go to the 850 millibar, you can see is generally in same proximity there. So what that allows for is that allows for 2 threats for severe weather. That allows for a potential cold core setup just to the southeast of that low, so like right along that pink line, and then some other threat. I don't know if it's going to be a semi-discrete threat or just a little windbag out there in eastern NC, so that's what we're keeping an eye on for Friday. Now let's go a little bit more into the long range. So as predicted, we have this big old high pressure over the south central U.S. into Mexico. That's going to keep everything relatively on the lower side for severe weather. So that's just going to keep really most severe weather out of the U.S. and keep those troughs very high in latitude, longitude up there, very high amplified trough. troughs there, I should say. So really not much of a severe threat. Now, if that was more to the south, if we had this trough here, which is off your screen, unfortunately, if that was more into the central plains, then we would probably see severe weather off of it going into Sunday. But thankfully, that high amplitude trough is staying up very far north. And watch as it goes into Sunday night, Monday here. It actually does manage to traverse into the central U.S., but by the time it does that, it goes positively tilted. So it actually enters the U.S. at a negative tilt, meaning severe weather would be possible, but thankfully it's up in the Pacific Northwest, so probably not going to see severe weather out of that, at least to a widespread scale here. But then look at this. Monday, well, this is actually an aggressive one. Now, this is the 18Z GFS, a little bit more aggressive. This would have the opportunity for more widespread severe weather, actually, along that entire cold front. So we'll keep an eye on that. That is something that SPC does mention, potentially a marginal risk of severe weather there on Monday. So not much of a notable threat. But if we do see any uptrends, then we may end up seeing a bit of an issue here on Monday somewhere in the central U.S. and into the Midwest, actually. So if you are in this area, right in here, just keep an eye on Monday. I don't think it will be anything notable, but it is something to keep an eye on just so, you know, you can be weather aware, right? Just make sure you're weather aware, but it won't be anything very significant because if we take a look at like dew points, you can see not the best on dew points, just some localized areas up into the 60s. Your lower level jet is obviously going to be pretty good considering that trough's quite well amplified there, but not really the most focused area of lower level jet. You can see it's just a very large, broad area here of 35 to 45 knots of flow here across the Midwest. So no very focused area there for lower level jet activity. Even into the night hours, still nothing really is very focused there. You know, for higher end severe threats, typically we'll see like a little front form, and then in front of that front, you'll have a lower level jet of like, you know, 60 knots or something. Not the case here. So that's really, really good news. And another thing is instability is very much lacking. So I don't think we'll see much in the wake of widespread severe weather or anything significant here on Monday. However, it is still something I'm keeping an eye on for the opportunity of severe weather. So I would watch it. It's, you know, it doesn't hurt to keep an eye on the weather just in case. Tuesday, not really much changes here. It gets to the eastern U.S., maybe an opportunity for severe weather depending exactly the timing of the trough. So we'll keep an eye on Tuesday as well. But I do want to back this up a little bit, because I want to see the difference between the 12Z, yeah, and 00Z. So the 18Z is a lot more organized with that low, a lot more of an amplified, stronger trough over the northern Midwest there, which is very interesting. So that's a little bit aggressive. But let me just show you consistency. So there's the GFS. There's the Euro, and we'll just throw it in there. There's the Canadian as well. So you can see there's not a lot of consistency on a widespread threat for severe weather. Just all of these have the opportunity for some thunderstorms going on into Monday. So just going to watch it just in case, but not something that's really raising a signal in terms of anything significant. Then going on into Thursday, a little bit more of a concern here on the GFS. It does have what is probably a dryline shortwave setup. We've seen these already 2 times. We saw it twice in March. Actually, no, I think we saw it in mid-March, and then in early April, we saw this exact setup. So this would be another case of will a supercell fire across the dry line in Oklahoma? You see that? So it would be the exact same case there. I wonder if the GFS does it. And there's nothing on the GFS that doesn't initiate on the dry line. So let me just see. So that's the GFS there. Completely different for the Euro. And then the Canadian does have it on Wednesday, a day earlier. Does the Euro have? Yeah, the Euro just doesn't have it. So the Euro just straight up doesn't have that happening, but the GFS and the Canadian both have it happening. So Keep an eye on that. Wednesday and Thursday, we'll monitor for the threat of severe weather in the U.S., but notice how all of these seem to be very low-end threats, right? There's no ridiculously high amplified, absurd moisture, crazy ingredients, huge signal for severe weather. They're all very subtle little areas of severe weather that we're just going to have to monitor. So that's probably how we're going to end April, to be honest with you. It's only April 9th, but I don't see any big threats for like widespread significant severe weather like we saw in March, mid-March, and early April. Very early April, first few days. So, I mean, that's just what it seems like we're going to get here. We're going to get another threat for multiple smaller scale threats for severe weather. Maybe one of these end up. Oh, that one's pretty rough right there. But nothing initiates. Yeah, so not really much there in activity in terms of widespread severe weather. Now, we're still going to get severe weather through April, okay? It's still tornado season, but, I mean, look at that. You just get a cutoff low that literally stops any notable severe weather. So from April 20th all the way till the last few days of April, you just don't have severe weather. And then looky there, there's our little sneaky trough that's going to try to give us a threat right on the 27th of April. So that way TOG has a rainy Talladega race day there. It's trying to ruin my race day. So I just don't see much for April. I'm going to be honest with you. I just don't see much. Well, that's ridiculous. Man, tell me you're the 6Z GFS without telling me. Like, look at that. That's the 06Z GFS right there. Well, you know. Now that's kind of got my interest. These models did just uptrend on that. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. It is April, so I do think we're going to be dealing with severe weather, probably low-wind threats, starting tomorrow, and then we'll keep tracking them all the way through April 20th or so. And then we'll get another high pressure, hopefully, fingers crossed, to build in at the end of April and prevent us from any big severe threats towards that time frame. But I'm going to show you my favorite thing. Here you go. So this is the GFS ensembles on a graph chart, and they're all low end. So for widespread significant severe weather, we look for this line and above, right here. That is widespread significant severe weather. April 2nd was here. March 14th was off your screen, way up here, past that pink line. Some of them were literally off the chart. So this is a small signal for severe weather, a very small signal for severe weather, but look at how many there are, right? One here, another one up here, another one up here. Like pretty much every day there's a chance for low-wind severe weather threats. And then, you get that one GFS 06Z model run that goes way up here into a widespread threat. So, definitely going to see the threat for severe weather going towards the middle of April for sure. So just going to keep an eye on it. But anything very notable, it's far out, and it's just not something I'm very concerned about. Another thing we can look at is this on more of a different graph here. So this lets us look at a bunch of different ensembles. I'll zoom y'all out a little bit. And basically, what these show is, the higher the number, the better threat for severe weather on the given day. So this is April 15th right here. That pink line is April 16th. So that's the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, and 22nd of April. And you can see they're all over the place, right? They're all over the place here. But there is a few ensembles that have the threat for severe weather being possible there, especially towards April 17th. Now let's go back to our model runs and let's see if that lines up. That is actually April 18th there into the 19th on the GFS. So, yeah, we'll see about that. That may be a bit of a better threat to watch. Let's check our ensembles here. Ew. Yeah, no. Let's go back over here again. Yeah, that's not much of a severe signal. Oh, well, that one's actually a bit better there. That's April 18th. It's hard to tell. There's some flow there, but no notable signal for severe weather there. April 17th. Eh. Not a lot of confidence, right? Not a lot of confidence. Just the opportunity for some severe threats. Ooh. Now that's a bit more confidence right there. That is Sunday. Interesting. Oh, look at that. I actually did miss that day. But that's a capped environment. That's why I missed it. Look at that. That's capped. So literally nothing happens. Nothing happens. So I just watch. Just watch. Keep an eye on the weather. These threats, if they do become notable, they are probably going to sneak up on us. They're probably going to end up sneaking up on us because they have so much uncertainty. So, once we get closer, they may end up uptrending significantly and then feeling like they came out of absolutely nowhere. So a lot of these threats right now don't look the best, but by the time we get towards like day 1 or 2 or 3 days out from these severe threats, they may uptrend. For instance, let me just use this as an instance right here. Tomorrow's threat, right? Tomorrow's threat really didn't look notable at all until yesterday. Yesterday's when this started uptrending. The SPC went from general thunderstorm risk to marginal and then to a slight risk. So it went general thunderstorm, absolutely nothing outlined, and then morning update, marginal, afternoon update, slight, and then, of course, here we are now the next day, and they've maintained those categorical risks for now. So, yeah. Let me go back over here to the day 2 outlook, and there you go. There's your severe weather threat. Like I said, mainly very large hail. We could even see either they're going to do one of two things tomorrow. One of two things. I don't think this outlook will stay exactly the same. In my opinion, either they're going to add a hatched risk for large hail out here, or they're going to upgrade it to enhanced risk for hail. They're probably going to end up just hatching the 15 hail risk here or something. We'll see. But either way, I do think we're going to have a better opportunity for large hail tomorrow. So, just keep an eye on the weather. There's nothing in the long term or short term you should be really worrying about here. No big tornado threats. Like I said, we have the opportunity for a tornado or two tomorrow, some severe weather. And then, of course, we have severe weather being possible on Monday and then Wednesday and then a couple other days next week. But none of them look to be very notable threats for severe weather at this point. So we're just going to monitor it and keep an eye on the model runs. That's what I do. I keep an eye on the model runs on an every single day-to-day basis. Even when I'm taking my breaks, the first thing that I do when I wake up, SPC Outlook, GFS, and then HRRR to figure out exactly what's going to happen and see if anything's uptrended. So, yeah, this was my first time actually, ever since I did my live stream 4 days ago, this was my first time actually properly doing an analysis on the model runs. I haven't really checked that in depth for the threat of severe weather for the rest of this month, but from what I've seen, a lot of these threats look like they may be able to sneak up on us. That's what they look like. They look like they're, pretty much nothing right now, but as we get closer, they may uptrend or disappear. Who knows? It's either going to go one way or the other, depending on which way our weather pattern goes, but gracious day. The ATZ H-R is probably about to do something crazy here with this this trough on April 22nd. Gracious. So I'm just not going to be available towards the end of April. I don't know how many days I'm going to be gone or if it's just going to be like a 2-day quick thing. But I know for sure going into the weekend on April 26th, 27th, right around there, that's when I'm going to go unavailable. Tomorrow will most likely be live for coverage slash a briefing. It'll probably be like an hour or two of a briefing or coverage, not really that long. And also Friday. Friday is very tricky. Either I'm gonna chase on Friday or I'm just not gonna be able to do anything. It depends. Like I said, I already made plans 3 days ago for Friday, so I don't plan on streaming or chasing Friday. We'll just see if it uptrends or not over the coming days. And yeah, tomorrow, like I said, we'll be live for probably an hour or two tomorrow. Really not planning on doing a long live stream. It's just a slight risk 2% tour. Not really a notable threat for tornadoes there. And like I said, I see a lot of issues tomorrow too. A lot of issues with dry air, especially lack of moisture, and wind shear, as well as instability. It looks like a big time hail threat. I mean, tomorrow just looks like a big hail threat. But so far, everything's going according to plan. According to what we forecasted in our tornado season forecast about a month and a half ago. We were forecasting very active March, very active early April. Then things calmed down towards the middle of April, maybe even into late April. And then as we go into the last few days of April and the beginning of May, things pick back up again. And then we'll probably see this pattern continue through the middle of May as well, where we continue with severe weather. But at some point, I'm very confident we will see a death ridge build in. It's going to be like 2023. That's what it seems like with our pattern, where obviously 2023, March was one of the most active Marches in history back in 2023, one of the most active months ever for severe weather. And I mean, we literally just freaking pretty much copied that here in 2025, if not past it. We had like 400 and like what? I forgot. around 425 tornadoes in this year so far. So it's been crazy. You know what? Actually, I have it on my search history because I literally just searched it up like before I started the stream. So let's see. Where is it? 473. 473 tornado reports from the start of the year till now. 473. So we are like double what we normally are. Which is crazy. And we are double of what 2024 was. And 2024 was the second most active tornado season on record. And no, I am not by any means saying this year is going to be 2024 all over again. This pattern is not like 2024. We are going to have a lot more high pressures that build in this tornado season. Literally now, we have a high pressure over the southwestern U.S. That's what's, giving us this nice weather. And then tomorrow, unfortunately, that high pressure is actually going to contribute to the risk of severe weather tomorrow and Friday. And we're just going to get a lot more ridging overall. We're just going to get a whole lot more ridging. A lot more ridging for this overall tornado season. Which should allow for just more days for the threat of severe weather, but lower in days. And then occasionally we may get the high pressure that builds in, and that builds in a bunch of ingredients. And you know what? Actually, That is exactly what the new HRRR is doing. Look at this. Or HRRR, my bad. It's GFS. Look at the difference. That's crazy. Last GFS, newest GFS. So this is going to have a major outbreak on the newest GFS here. You could see this crazy trough here with a high pressure that's just building up ingredients. And it's going to have a ridiculous... it's going to have a ridiculous outbreak on this model run. So, yeah, I think the high pressures are going to be sticking around probably for the rest of the season, as they normally do, but they're pretty low in like latitude here. You know, they're way down into the Gulf, down towards Mexico there. So, whenever that happens, that allows for more of like this pattern here, where we just see consistent low-end severe threats for severe weather out in the Central Plains. But when one of those high pressures push northward, like this, where you have more of a ridging in here, see that? That allows for just a bunch of ingredients to be pulled up. So that's what we'll have to watch for on these model runs. And I mean, geez. Look at that. What is that? 4,000 instability? I want a sounding on that. I want a sounding on that. This is 291 hours out, so you can almost bet this is not going to happen. But I just want to see that. Oh my goodness, there's no wind shear. So that barely would even be a tornado threat. That would barely even be a tornado threat right there. Barely even a tornado threat because you just don't have wind shear. So, just to do just a recap on this briefing, because I know sometimes I go all over the place. That's my apologies. That's because I didn't look at model runs in depth before the live stream. This was literally, I took you guys through all my thoughts about these model runs, because it's literally the first time I've done an analysis on the model runs in like 5, maybe even 6 days. So, tomorrow, big time hail, isolated damaging winds, brief spin up tornado or 2. Friday, probably a messy wind bag in eastern NC, spin up tornado or 2. Possibly a locally higher tornado threat if we can get the cold core set up over central NC, or the discrete cells in eastern NC. That's a very picky setup. We won't know that till pretty much morning of the event. Saturday, Sunday, high pressure builds in, allows for minimal severe weather. Saturday, Sunday is quite nice across the U.S. Maybe an isolated severe threat Sunday night. We'll have maybe a conditional threat for severe weather over Oklahoma. We'll keep an eye on that. Right now, it doesn't look significant or anything notable. Monday could be a little bit better threat for severe weather, centered over Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky. That general area, probably mainly damaging winds, small hail, maybe a low-wind tornado threat. You can see here the GFS has a very low-wind tornado threat on Monday. We'll monitor that to see if it uptrends or downtrends. Tuesday, that keeps on going to the East Coast. Not much of an issue there, just a normal trough. Thursday, high pressure builds back in, and we start repeating it. Opportunity for severe weather there. Thursday, Friday, being a possible severe threat. And then after that, it's la la land, right? Beyond that, we're 200 hours out now. So beyond Friday, April 18th, you're over 200 hours out. There's no point in doing any analysis on those model runs because they're all just going to change anyways. So overall, just normal tornado season, right? There doesn't seem to be anything historic here. Just your normal April troughs. Very, very normal, nothing unusual. So, nothing I'm worried about. Nothing that I think is going to be like the last, like April 2nd or March 14th, 15th. There's none of those type of troughs here on the model runs. Like I said, I'll just keep an eye on it for you. I'll update you guys on it. Like I said, we'll be live tomorrow probably for about an hour or 2. I don't want to say much more than that because I don't know how the threat's going to materialize. It's mainly hail. Unless it's like 5-inch in diameter. Yeah, I normally don't live stream hail for that long. I'm more of the analysis person for tornadoes. That's what I'm all for. Just trying to figure out what storms are going to produce tornadoes and which ones aren't. And so we'll see about tomorrow. It just doesn't look like a big tornado day. Now, it is severe weather day, which means I'm going to be live. Because I still want to make sure you guys are weather aware about the threat for severe weather. But mainly, I'm all tornadoes. That's what I'm, hence the channel name, right? Just in case that wasn't pretty obvious for you. And then on Friday, we'll see. Friday's risk may change a lot, so I don't really want to talk too in-depth on Friday. I went over the different outcomes, the messier mode, the QLCS mode, and then the discrete and cold core setup. I went over the different setups. We'll see which one ends up becoming the actual real possible outcome. But tomorrow, I'll just be live when I'm live. It doesn't look like a big threat, so I'm not going to do no 6 to 12 hour live stream. We'll probably start up around 6, 7 o'clock. I don't see a need to change our normal start time, right? If we need to, maybe the earliest I'll go live is 3 p.m. That's if confidence increases on the risk for tornadoes, but I don't see that really happening. I think it's just going to be big time hail, so I'll be live at some point tomorrow to update you guys on the severe weather threat. Friday, I'll be away, so probably not much content on Friday. Saturday, probably not much content. And then Sunday, we'll probably end up doing another live stream. Sunday looks to be the threat for severe weather over Oklahoma. And I also need to get a video out, too. I have no idea when I'm going to do that. I have no idea. So, current plan, live stream tomorrow, nothing Friday, nothing Saturday, live stream Sunday, and then we'll go from there. But alrighty, that's it for this briefing. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel with the notification bell set to all. I appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in. Just a quick hour briefing. There's no need for anything longer than that. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. That's it. Such an abrupt ending, I know. But yeah, that is going to be it for this stream. I appreciate everybody for tuning in once again, mods from on chat, and just everybody for watching. If you haven't already, once again, make sure you hit that subscribe button with the notification bell set to all, so you know when I go live tomorrow. And no, I don't think Florida will get a slight risk. I do not think you'll get a slight risk there in Florida. But again, that's going to be it. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's live stream. Stay safe and have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday night. Goodbye. stay safe rest of your weather and have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday night. Haha, Caleb, you got it wrong. Goodbye.